Okay, this is the video for 10 Skills Volume 1. This is just an introduction into Illustrator and how to kind of navigate and be able to do a couple of things in the program. And so this is the first part of some of these little kind of 10 little skills that you might need that kind of build on each other. So number one, we are looking at, let's see here, draw a circle, square, and star. The main thing I wanted you to see here was that when you're looking at your toolbar, you have the ability to, if it has a little triangle, a little white triangle in the bottom corner, that you have other things you can do with that. So if I click on this rectangle tool, if you hover over it, it tells you what it's called. Hover over the rectangle tool, I can just click on it. And then to draw a square, I'm just going to click and drag. Technically that's a rectangle, so I'll do Control Z. You can hold down Shift as you draw, and that makes a square. If you click and hold on this, you can get the ellipse tool, and same thing, I can draw a circle, and then for the star, exact same thing. So a couple of different options, and there's other things in that. I just wanted you to kind of see those. Rotate, so I'm holding down space bar so I can move in my document here. Rotate, change the size and color of the square. So I'm going to, first thing you got to do, anytime you do anything in Illustrator, first thing you got to do is you got to select it. So I'm going to select the square that's there. I could use my rotate tool, which is over here. So you can use your rotate tool to do that. Control Z to go back. I can also rotate. If I go, this would resize it, would make it a little bit bigger or smaller. If I go a little bit further, that will make it where it rotates. So you can see my the top right corner of the square there. So I can rotate this object and change the size of this object. And then I'm also going to change the color. So to change the color, you're just going to go up here to the top left corner and pick a different color. That's fine. So we have rotated, changed the size and color of that square. This says type out text in the box and change the font and create outlines. Okay, so type tool right here, the one that's got the letter T on it. Click and let go, and I'm just going to type anything. All right, and apparently I have my caps lock on. That's okay. So anyway, so now I've got my word typed out here, and in order to change the font, I can either go right click and go to the fonts, and I have my choices here. All right, or I also can do that in my character panel. If I look up here at the top, at the very top of the nav bar there, you have a choice that says character, and you can see where you've got your different fonts that you can change there. All right, and the last thing it says was to create, I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger so you can see what we're doing. Create outlines on the text. That does not mean, I get people that do this a lot where they go, oh, I'm just gonna put an outline on the text. The whole point of creating outlines on the text is if I don't have your font, the font that you've downloaded, and you send that to a customer and they don't have the stuff that you've got, then you want to make sure that they have the ability to open it, right? It also gives you some options to make it where you can manipulate the text a little bit differently because now it's technically viewed as an object. So what we're going to do is I am not going to just select it and then put a stroke on the design. That puts an outline on it, but that doesn't mean create outline. So Control Z, there we go. All right, right click, create outlines. Control Shift O is the shortcut for that. All right. Use the pen tool to draw out a Bezier curve. Bezier curve, we're going to use our pen tool here over to the left. All you have to do, let me take my caps lock off, is just click and let go. That gives you an anchor point. And then I'm going to pick a second spot and I'm going to click and hold. I'm holding the mouse here. Click and hold and drag out. All right. That 2 points, let me change this to outline here. That 2 points there, 1 point and second point, those two anchor points together with the smooth curve in between those 2 points is what is called a Bezier curve, right? And we're using the pen tool to make that. Use the shape builder tool to combine the objects. So all you have to do for this one is select both of them. You can either do where you click and, so I've got my selection tool up there at the top. You can either do where you just click and drag, and when you let go, this little box that I've got selected, when I let go, it'll select everything that was in that box. So you either can do it that way, or, because that doesn't always work depending on your situation, I can also hold down Shift. If I click on one object and hold down Shift, click on the second object, I now have both of these things selected. And then my shape builder tool, which is this one right here, it's a little circle and another circle with a line going through it. So shape builder tool, when you have these two objects selected, this is a shape, this is a shape, and this is a shape. And if I clicked on each one of those individually, it would make its own shape. But if I click and drag through, and when I let go, now that has made one solid shape. Okay, so that is one solid. All of those pieces have been combined. I have combined objects using the shape builder tool. Number 6 says create a shape using the line segment tool and the shape builder tool to make a shape. What, create a shape? Okay, sorry. Sometimes when I write things, my brain doesn't say things the correct way, but you know what I'm saying. Use the line segment tool to make a shape and use the shape builder tool to actually make it where it's a solid shape. That's what I want you to do, okay? So anyway, yeah, I wrote that, but who knows. All right, so what I've got now is I've got my line segment tool right here. And with line segment tool, so with the pen tool earlier, we did click and let go, and then we went somewhere else and made another anchor point. With the line segment tool, you just click and drag, and when you let go, it'll make a shape, all right? And we'll talk about later how you can make it be a perfectly straight line. We'll get to that. That's later on. All right, so line segment tool, click and drag out, click and drag out, click and drag out, click and drag out. Now, and if you're not seeing, when you draw these lines, if you've got something that looks like this, and when you let go of your lines, you go, wait a minute, where's my stuff going? I don't see it anymore. As soon as I click off of it, it's gone. Well, it's still there. It's just when you drew out a line, if I could click and drag to select those pieces, when you drew out a line, you drew out a line with nothing on the inside, nothing on the outside. So if your color is nothing, then you're not going to be able to see it. Okay, it's still there, but you can't see it. So I've got those selected. I'm going to just give it a black outline. And I also have to have it selected to the shape builder tool. So right now, if I tried to fill the inside of this with, say, red, nope, sorry, wrong button, Control Z, I'll do that one. If I make my fill color be red, it doesn't do anything because all it sees is 4 lines. It doesn't see the square that is made between them. We can see it because we that's how we think. But the computer, it doesn't see what you see. So I've got those things selected. I'm going to use the shape builder tool, and that makes a shape. You can tell by that gray box, a little checkered pattern box right there. That means that's making a shape. So if I click off, I just deselected those. I just clicked off to the side, and I try to use the shape builder tool. It's not working for me. See how I've got like a circle with a line through it? Because in order to use the shape builder tool, your lines have to cross, and you have to have them selected. All right, so I select all of these things, shape builder tool, that would be a shape. If I clicked right now, it would make a shape. I'll go ahead and do it. There, I just made a shape. The shape I made has nothing on the inside. I'm clicking, you might be able to hear it. So this is a shape, right? But it gets a little challenging to be able to see what you're trying to work with because you can't, it's nothing on the inside. So shape builder tool, before you ever click, we're using the shape builder tool. If once you select the shape builder tool, if you change the color to what you want it to be, now I can see over here that my red is on the inside. So when I click to make a shape, it'll make a shape that is the color of whatever I have selected over here. Makes it a little bit easier in the future. All I really care about is to choose the shape builder tool to make a shape. But that's just kind of, if you're wondering how I got mine to be a color, that's how I did it, is I made it be a color before I ever clicked on it, okay? Delete the object, super easy. All you have to do, first thing, before you do anything in Illustrator or any of these programs, you have to select it first. So I've got my selection tool, which is the black arrow. Just click on your object and then just hit delete, all right? Control Z to bring it back. I can also do backspace, that would work. So yeah, that's fine. Either one of those would work. Type text on a path. Okay, now in order to do text on path, you have to, this is how you can make it where it's like the Starbucks logo or whatever, where it arches at the top and bottom. So in order to do that, you first have to make a path. I could do this with the pen tool. I could use it with a shape tool. I'll do a star just because we had a star earlier. That's fine. So when you do this, it will forget everything else. So if you've got a black star on your screen and you want the black star to be part of your design, you need to have another black star. Because as soon as I click type on path, it's only going to remember that it is a path. Okay, it's not going to remember black star or green circle or any of that stuff. Okay, so yes. All right, so I've got this selected, and I'm going to click and hold on my type tool just like we held on things earlier, because I know that if it's got that little white triangle in the bottom corner, that means that it's got extra stuff under there. There are more tools to be used. So click and hold on that, and there's the type on path tool, which I always pictured it like the letter T is like on a ski slope. I don't know why. That's how I've always pictured it. That's just how I remember it. Type on path tool. Okay, so I click on. If you click on the shape, you will get this error message because you didn't do it right. So make sure you're clicking on the edge, right? Oh, come on now, because you're going to talk about it. There we go. Okay. All right. And so now you can type around the star. Okay. This isn't a perfect example because, yeah, so circles work a little bit better, but you could do this. Like I said, you could do it with the Bezier curves, any of that type of stuff, any type of vector object. You cannot do this with some picture you got off the internet. Okay, you could, but we're going to have to do something else to it. All right, so I will go for that on a later lesson. All right, change the opacity of the shape and lock the object. Okay, so the shape and the object is the same thing. This is a square right here. First thing I got to do is select it. And you'll notice how up here at the top of this little bar here, I guess if I'm pointing at it, it's actually over here because I'm up at the top too. So if I click off and I deselect that, then my options change. Actually, I still have opacity right here. But when I click on this, you'll see that all of these different things pop up. They're a little bit different. So I can click opacity and just bring that slider down a little bit. So what that does is now it is more transparent. I can see through this. Let me make sure that's on top. All right, whereas if this had 100% opacity, I wouldn't be able to see through it at all. But because I have a lower opacity, I can see through it. All right, this comes in handy when you're trying to trace things. It comes in handy for a lot of different reasons. All right, so that is changing the opacity. And then it says to lock the object. So to lock the object, I can go to Object, Lock Selection, and the shortcut is Control-2. I use that a lot. So I don't recommend you memorize, look, I don't recommend you memorize every single shortcut that has ever existed in the world, but there's a bunch of them that you need to know, okay? And I probably need to make another video that just talks about shortcuts, but I'll try to show you the long way, so that way if you ever forget, you know how to get there. But you're going to waste a lot of time just going back and forth, Object, Lock, Selection, just Control-2, okay? And then to unlock it is Control-Alt-2, okay? But you don't have to know that for the purposes of this, but we're going to do Object, Lock, Selection, okay? Now, last thing that I've got here is to use the line segment tool to create parallel and perpendicular lines, okay? So this is a couple of reasons this is in here. One, to reinforce the line segment tool. We used it earlier, but it was not really, you didn't have to make it do something specific. We were just making an object, right? Number two, I want to show you how to make things be perfectly straight. All right, so I'm drawing and I'm going to lock it in at a 90-degree angle or at a 45-degree angle. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And the last thing is just to talk about what parallel and perpendicular means, okay? A lot of times people just say, oh, that just means lines that don't touch. Well, it's not just lines that don't touch. Parallel lines are lines that don't touch. If you continued them off into each direction, they would never touch because they're at the same angle, okay? If this line is at a 90-degree angle and this line is at a 90-degree angle, then they can drag out forever and they're never going to touch. Perpendicular lines, however, I shouldn't have used 90. If this one's at a 45-degree angle and this one's at a 45-degree angle, they'll never touch, okay? Perpendicular lines are lines that cross at a 90-degree angle, all right? So anyway, but to do that, we're going to line segment tool, and I'm just going to hold down shift. Shift is my modifier key, all right? So I hold down shift because if I was just going to draw this and kind of get, let me do Control Z because I want to be able to draw this line segment with a black line and kind of just like that, okay? These lines are not parallel because if they were to go on forever and ever, it wouldn't take them long at all and they would cross. All right, so if I want to make them be perfectly straight, and you see how I'm moving my mouse to the left and right here, but my line is staying locked, right? If I were to, see, I let go of shift and I can move that. If I hold down shift, that stays locked in place. All right, this will help you a lot in certain circumstances. So these are parallel lines, or these would be parallel lines, or these would be parallel lines, okay? And then perpendicular lines would be like that. They cross at that 90-degree angle, okay? And if you didn't know why that is, it's because you've got 90 degrees here and 90 degrees here, and that's 180. and then you have 90, so you got 180 here and 180 here, because altogether, the reason that that's a right angle is because if you put it all together, you get the 360 degrees of the circle. So anyway, so that is all I have for 10 Skills Volume 1. I'll also be posting 10 Skills Volume 2. As of right now, I have a total of 4 of these, but that will probably be changing because I'm just trying to do, I've got a lot of crash course stuff that we're trying to do, trying to make sure you understand how to do a whole bunch of things in a short amount of time. So hopefully this helps, and let me know if this is going too fast, and we will try to figure out the way to do this. I've got a bunch of times. I'm hoping to put timestamps on all this and make sure that I have the correct information, so you can just go to the one that you're struggling with. These 2 assignments are worth 50 points each, so each question is worth 5 points. Hopefully that helps. Thanks.